James Kaufman, World News Report today, April 29th, 2025. God bless you and yours, no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. Ladies and gentlemen, Earth has been struck by several strong earthquakes today, the strongest being a 6.8 magnitude earthquake near the Macquarie Island region, with an associated tsunami warning at only 4.5 kilometers of depth. It's according to the USGS. Now that came in at a 4 on the shake map and a green on the pager, as no one lives down there. This is south of New Zealand. Now we have a smaller quake here, a 6.2, according to the USGS. And that came at a default depth of 10 kilometers. It still only made a 4 on the shake map, which probably tells us it's not a very populated area. Now again, we have another quake popping up in Ohio. It's made southeast of Buffalo, 0.6 kilometers. Again, I'm thinking that these are associated with oil and gas operations in that state. I wanted to bring that to your attention, because that's the 4th or 5th one this week in Ohio. Moving over to volcanoesandearthquakes.com, we have our 6.8 heading back here. As you can see, a 6.8 coming in from Europeans, the Australians being the main source, also calling it a 6.8. Raspberry Shake calling it a 6.4. It's like there was quite a large aftershock in that area, a 5.0 right there. And when we move up here, we're going to only find a 5.9 magnitude earthquake because, well, one source had it under a 6.0, or one source had it as a much lighter earthquake than many of the other recording services. We've seen this happen before, but this in fact is the 6.2. There's 5.9 here, and there's a 5.0 next to it. Now it doesn't look like a lot is going on down there until I turn on all the earthquakes around the globe, and you can see that the area where we had our 2 big quakes is really part of a huge swarm that follows this fault line up near Zealandia, the continent rising out of the ocean. Let's take a quick look at that, because both earthquakes are associated with Zealandia. Now everyone has their own idea of how big Zealandia is going to be. I believe it's going to go all the way up here to Fiji and Tonga and work its way down through New Zealand, being a high point of the continent, New Caledonia being another high point, work its way all the way over to Papua New Guinea, and all the way down to where we're having these very large quakes. And you can see Australia sitting right here. Looks like there might be a passageway through the two. It's going to be interesting. That could happen in 100 years, could happen in 10 years. It could be thousands of years before this rose out of the ocean. Let's get some detailed information about the 6.8 and 6.2 magnitude earthquakes. The first, the stronger one, the 6.8, happened about 222 kilometers south of Tasmania, part of Australia. Over at Volcano Discovery, still looking at the 6.8 magnitude earthquake with a 6.8. Our main reporting source is Australia here. They have a default depth of 10 kilometers. It happens tomorrow, oddly enough. And it released about 14.9 atomic bombs worth of energy. Wow. Comparing quake data for that 6.8 magnitude earthquake from different reporting agencies, the Australians a 6.83, 10 kilometer depth default, We have the Europeans coming in at 6'8", default depth. Raspberry Shake at 6'4", default depth. Germany at 6'4", default depth. The French at 6'2". I don't see that. A 6'8" here. Incorporated Research Institute for Seismology. They have it at 4.5 kilometers. Very strange depth. And we have the USGS also pegging it at 4.5 kilometers. There must be a very shallow point where Zealandia is risen quite a bit right in that area there. A 6.8 again, USGS. And finally, we have the Italians coming in at a 6'5", the depth of 15 kilometers. Let's move over to the 6.2 magnitude earthquake and get some details about it. All right, jumping over to the 6.2 magnitude earthquake, at least as far as the USGS is concerned. We're on volcanodiscovery.com, and it's coming in at a 5.9. And that's going to be 366 kilometers southwest of Gore, Southland, and New Zealand. Looking at some earthquake details. I believe this to be the 6.2. It says 5.9 here. Main reporting source is going to be New Zealand here. And about 0.7 atomic bombs were released. So obviously the 6.8 was much more intense and much stronger of an earthquake. Alright, let's get into the meat of it. Comparing quake data from different reporting agencies. A 5.9 being reported by New Zealand, that's the main source, 12 kilometers of depth. A 6.16 being reported by Germany, 10 kilometer default depth. A 6.2, the Europeans, default depth. We're getting a 6.2 out of the USGS. Here's a 5.8 out of Raspberry Shake, default depth. A 5.27 out of the French, default depth. We have the Institut National Geophysical Volcano, and that's the Italians coming in at 6.2, 9 kilometers in depth. The USGS a 6.2, 10 kilometers of depth. The Australians a 6.1, 10 kilometers worth of depth. And finally, the Incorporated Research Institution for Seismology, a 6.2 at 10 kilometers, the default depth. A depth as given, 10 kilometers, often means that the depth of the quake could not be determined with sufficient accuracy. Now here's our 8th continent, again Zealandia, that is in fact Zealandia continent, rising and considered a continent. New Zealand is trying to do a land grab for some of this area here, calling it their continental shelf, although I don't believe them to be a continent. And this is going to be above the sea level at some point. Now, I don't know what point that will be, but you can see the basic outline of the continent. And since we had a tsunami warning in this area, I don't see any buoys, although we really don't have any buoys down here that are in event mode. We do have one over in the Caribbean. That's buoy station 41421. It's a 3 to 3.5 centimeter event, so we're going to pretend like it doesn't even exist. So with that said, it's been a minute since we've had 2 6.0 plus earthquakes pop off in the same day within a few hours of each other, with some large aftershocks in that area. Again, a 6.8 magnitude earthquake near Tasmania, just south of Tasmania, and a 6.2 magnitude earthquake just south of New Zealand. God bless. Please share, subscribe, and always remember, anything's possible in Bizarro World.